put a pause on it. It's fairly difficult for some of us. You're like, numbers, I know. But the point isn't that you finished it per se. The point is that you focused, right? Learning how to block out the distractions and focus. So what I want you to see is at the very back of your book, I put some other concentration grids in there. You could probably take it, make copies of those if you want some physical ones so you can do it. What I do suggest is using a different color, like using a red Sharpie or something for when you do the physical ones, because it helps you, because when you're just using the pen, all of it starts to look, right? You're like, did I mark this one out or not? It's hard. That's why I like the app. I prefer the app. It's $1, but because when you push the buttons on there, the numbers, they turn red. So then they're already blocked out, so it's a little easier visually. But again, I just wanted us to practice once. Now you know how to do a concentration grid, so you can take those other ones. You can make a bunch of copies for yourself on those. I would use a red or whatever color Sharpie you want, just so that it's a visual difference than that. How many finished it in that time? We had a few. Okay. How many of y'all were like, man, when you were talking, it was distracting me? Oh, okay. A few of us. All right, so anyway, concentration grids. It's a phenomenal way to learn how to lock in and lock out a focus, depending on what your needs are. 10 by 10 is the biggest grid that it'll let you make, and like I said, on the app, it takes around 4 to 5 minutes. The more you do them, the faster you get, because your eyes, it becomes a process that you're quicker at. But anyway, a good training tool that I love to use with everyone on how to focus. Another piece of focus is controlling what you can control. You see the little graphic there, things that matter, things you can control, what we should focus on. He's like, I did it.
That's all you were saying?
Yeah. I should focus on what I can control, not what I can't control. Can't control Pastor Stephen, but I can control me. What was rule number 1 of mental game? I put it again right here. Rule number 1 was? It's literally on this page right here now. You don't even have to turn back. You have to control yourself before you can control your performance. Rule number 2 of mental game is what? It's right there. You have very little control of what goes on around you, but total control of how you choose to respond to it. I got these from Ken Ravizza. He was the mental performance coach for the Chicago Cubs when they won the World Series. He taught Joe Madden, who's now the manager for the Los Angeles Angels. Anyway, he's one of the original gurus of mental performance. And these were his 2 mental performance rules, and so we've adopted them, I've adopted them. These are the 2 major rules of mental performance, is you have to control yourself before you can control your performance. And number 2 is you have very little control of what goes on around you, but total control of how you choose to respond to it, because things will happen. So I have 2 columns here, what I cannot control and what I can control. I want you just to think about your life right now. I want you to write down a few things in each deal, things you can control and things that you cannot control. Write a few down. So, huh? Yeah, weather, things related to your performance. I mean, you can for yourself, yes, because eventually we get to a point where I can't control these things, and I can't, because you got to learn to let stuff go. An example with a golfer, I ask them, hey, when you go to the first tee, what do you control? They tell me, a lot of them will tell me, well, I can hit the fairway. I'm like, you actually don't have control over that. You just have influence over it. You swung the golf club, but you can't control that, because a lot of other things could happen. You could hit a great shot and it happens at a sprinkler head and goes off into the rough. You didn't hit the fairway. You don't have control over that. A lot of the stuff, though, that we waste our mental energy and time on is things that are out of our control. Honestly, assess that in your own mind. The things that make you lose your stuff is other people. Our kids. And if we would learn to let that go, that we can't control them, we can actually better raise them like God told us to raise them. Because they're his kids. This is what I have to tell myself. I'm a preacher's kid, and now I have my own. And they're 10, 7, and 3. And they do stuff, and sometimes it's like, oh, that's embarrassing to me. But then I have to assess, like, is it as bad as I thought it was? Because some things are, some things aren't. But we take it as a reflection of us. And the problem is, if God did that with you and I, he would have just thrown us away already. Because we are very bad representations of his fathering. He's the perfect father. But we put expectations on our kids, and I've done this, that they have to be something that we're not even to our own heavenly Father. Stop, Steve. Don't talk about marriage and family and kids, but that's mental performance. You know, the worst and best mental performance coaches for kids is their parents. And 99.9% of the time, they're the worst. I do parent workshops just for mental performance for parents with kids that perform in some sort of arena or athletics or whatever it may be. Because you know why? They're the ones that they get in the car with them after the game. And those are the parents that are so focused on results. Well, you didn't play the way you were supposed to play. You didn't get the result. That's terrible mental coaching. And I see it with athletics, and because I get to work with a ton of amateur athletes, and I'm looking at the parents like, I can't fix your kid because you're horrible. Your conversation is not helping them. You're having them so focused. They're stressed and anxious because you suck, not because they do. So that's why I talk about parenting, because I do work with a lot of amateur athletes. That's why the basketball players didn't like? Yeah. Pretty much. But what can we control? 3 things. Coach Ron Rivera with the Washington, they just changed their name. Washington football team, what are they? I'm a Cowboys fan, so I hate that team anyway, so I don't even care what their name is. The Washington football team, but didn't they get a name? Commanders? They're lame. Them, the Eagles, the Giants, lame. Okay. But he wears a shirt, and I loved it, and so we adopted it. 3 things you can control is your APE, your attitude, your preparation, and your effort. Can't control anything else. These are the only 3 things that you and I can control. I get to choose my attitude. I control whether I prepared or not, and I can control my effort. When I'm in the game, when I'm competing, I can give a good effort. I may not feel good, but I'm going to give it the best that I have. Next page, signal lights. 5 ways to recognize your signal lights. So I do red, yellow, and green. Red light, yellow light, green light. And this is an awareness of where I'm at emotionally when I'm competing, when I'm talking to my spouse, when I'm dealing with my kids. Pretty self-explanatory. Red light, stop. You're out of control. Shouldn't do that. Punching holes through walls isn't a good idea. We've probably been there. Throwing a golf club's not a great idea. Yellow light is where we probably spend 80% of our time. I can either go to green or to red. Something's happened. I'm a pitcher on the mound. I threw 2 great pitches. They got called balls. Now I'm frustrated, but I still have to deliver the next pitch. And if I allow the frustration to take over, I can't deliver a good pitch because now I'm in red. But I need to get to green. And so what I talk about and try to help us is, 1, recognize our signal lights. What triggers these things? And then how can I develop a routine to get myself back from red all the way back to green? One thing I do, I love physical triggers. I give to my golfers and some of the athletes, I have these green bracelets that say bring the juice and go green. So what that tells me is I'm going to go play golf, probably I think maybe later or sometime this weekend, and I'm going to be looking down and I'm going to be a little frustrated because here's what I know. I'm not going to hit every shot as perfectly as I want to, and I haven't practiced enough to do that. But what it tells me is I see this and it says go green. I will work hard not to hit that golf ball until I'm green, until I'm not thinking about the last shot or not thinking about the last hole or not thinking about coaching Pastor Steven or whatever else. I need to be green, which green means I can perform optimally. Green means I'm here, I'm present, I'm not thinking about the past, I'm not thinking about the future, I'm thinking about right now, this moment, this shot, this meeting, this conversation, whatever that is. So I have an athlete example on 5 ways to recognize your signal light. There's the 5 ways: body language, focus, self-talk, our feelings, and our situations. So go through your next several weeks and assess yourself. Figure out what gets you to red light. Okay, what can I do to stop that from happening? If I have some control over it, what do I not have control over? And as we assess that, it helps us with emotional management. So when I'm green, if I'm an athlete, I'm big and strong. That's my body language. I'm focused on process and controlling the controllables. I'm not focused on other stuff. My self-talk is positive. I've got this. You're good. You got it. Let's go, Steve. Number 4, my feelings. I feel unstoppable and I'm focused. Situations is when I'm winning or I'm playing well. Yellow light. My body language, when I get to yellow light, I'm timid or small. My focus is outcome or previous performance. Sorry. Like I said, previous performance. I just hit 4 bad shots in a row. What I try to get to is just because I've hit 4 bad shots in a row doesn't mean my 5th one has to be bad. I've had 5 bad days in a row. Does that mean 6 has to be bad? No. I've missed 10 3-point shots in a row. That doesn't mean the 11th one's going to be a miss. But I've made 10 in a row. That also doesn't mean the 11th one's going in. Because I still have to execute on the 11th one just like I did the last 10, right? So I'm not focused on past performance, good or bad. I'm focused on right now. Self-talk in yellow light becomes I hope I can. Feelings are unsure or scared. Situations, maybe I made an error or I had a mistake or whatever it was. Red light, body language, tense, out of control. Our focus, results, failures, others' opinions, things like that. Self-talk, why am I even doing this? I'm horrible. Feelings, disappointed or frustrated. Situations could be multiple compounded mistakes, compounded losses. We can all get there. That's kind of an athlete example. So I put you on page 27 for you to go through and contextualize this for yourself. What are situations you're in? You can go marriage situations in your life. When it's green, when it's yellow, when it's red. Where am I at? What are my feelings? Self-talk, focus, body language. Our goal is to bring an awareness to our lights. To bring an awareness of that. I have here 3 P's of red lights. Because when we get to red light, we go to one of 3 places. We go to primal, prayer, or perfect. Primal, prayer, or perfect. Here's what prayer is. Prayer is if I'm hitting a golf shot, I'm standing over the ball, and it's been bad or whatever. I'm just hoping somehow, some way it's going to turn out okay. A hope, a wish, and a prayer. Like, man, I'm just going to throw this out there, and hopefully, we don't want to get there because then we're not operating and we're not taking control of the situation. Right? So that's prayer. Primal, which is more where I go, is what you would think. Anger. I don't do this anymore, but I did when I was in high school. I would throw clubs, slam them on the ground, all of that, and do a lot of those other things. And I had a coach one time, he told me, he said, I threw a club, the helicopter move, and I think I was a freshman, and he said, hey, if you don't like that brand new club, then I will take it. Like, if you're going to just throw it, then I'll take it. Like, it's so funny. You get on a golf course, and grown adults, men and women, start to look like toddlers tossing their toys. That's not just the golf course. Think about your life. There's probably times where you look like a toddler tossing your toys, throwing a temper tantrum because you went into primal. We don't want to go there either. And then the other one is perfect. This could probably be my C personalities in here, my super organized. You now get stuck in inaction because everything has to be perfect for me to take another step. Because it didn't work out the way I wanted, now I have to and then what happens on a golf course, so prayer is, I'm just hoping, I'm not even in a process, I'm not in a routine, I don't care. Primal is, I'm just going to hit this stupid golf ball as hard as I can, and I'm going to force it. Perfect is, they sit there, and now instead of committing to their shot, they're not as committed, and so they're hitting it short and hitting it softer. Why? Because they're trying to make everything perfect. They're trying to control every little thing, and what that does means we're operating in red light. We have to learn it doesn't have to be perfect situations because that doesn't exist. I did one of my daily juice texts I sent the other day was talking about, I don't remember how long ago it was now. I've been doing it for almost a year every single day. It's pretty crazy. You start a little and just see what happens. And May 11th will be exactly 1 year when I started sending those texts every single morning. People are like, how do you send a text every morning? I'm like, one day at a time. That's how it happens. You just do it one day at a time. But it was talking about if you showed up to an office, and I'm going to paraphrase of what I said, but if you show up to an office where you're treated as an equal, your boss really values your opinion, everybody treats you a certain way, it's just perfect, I put in there, you showed up to the wrong office because that place doesn't exist. There's not a place in life where everybody in the church, or the church. Yeah. It's true. The place doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, right? So we've got to understand that, and then it helps us to perform with that. So 3 P's of red lights, prayer, primal, perfect. Now, here's the 3-step release routine. When you get to red light or something doesn't go your way, how do I let it go? 3 steps. Step number 1 is you have to do something physical and make an association with a release. So one of the things that I tell golfers to do, baseball players, I'll tell them, hey, after a pitch, and maybe you didn't see the pitch or got a bad call, step to the back of that batter's box, unstrap your glove. It's a symbol of letting it go. Let that go. And then the next step, right, is to take a releasing deep breath, and you'll see here, to bring oxygen in your system, oxygenate your brain, and slow down your heart rate. And then the third one is to have a verbal trigger that tells you it's time to end. So the way to do this is I'll tell a batter, I'll say, hey, step in the batter's box, look at the left field foul pole. Left field foul pole means let it go. Strap back on. I'm locked back in. I'm letting that one go. Now I'm in the batter's box and I'm ready to go. Golfer, right before you're going to hit, whatever, look at your club if you need to. Look at the tip of the club. This is what I usually tell them to do. Take a look at the tip of the club, or look at the flag. Look at something. Find something. Take a look. And then tell yourself, let's go, Steve. Let's go. Move on. Literally speak to yourself. The Bible says that the power of life and death is in the tongue. So instead of, I'm an idiot for hitting the bad shot, no, I'm letting it go. You can tell yourself, let it go. It's not a bear. Move on. So when I hit a bad shot, my release routine is I clap and I wipe. I call it clap and clear. And I'll do it a lot. And then I'll say, come on, Steve. And if it's a bad shot, I will also say this, that's not like me. You have to be able to say it. When something bad happens or you do something, that's not like me. Because too often we accept it and then it becomes our identity. That's not like me. And then when I do hit a good shot, you know what I say? That's like me. That's like me. When you have a good day, that's like me. Because I have quality days. Because I don't count the days, I make the days count. Right? I'm going to dominate the day. I'm going to bring the juice today. So that's the 3-step physical action. You could see, take off the glove, slap hip with glove before putting it in the pocket. If you need to, this is what some of my golfers do. Take the glove off, slap it against the hip, put it in their pocket, because it's like, you got to let it go. Basketball players, if they miss a layup or something, I tell them to snap, because basketball's just snap. Basketball officials, when I would miss a call, I would have my hand right here, and it'd snap. Because all eyes are on me already. They hate me. And I can't do anything super big because we're in the moment. But if I made a bad call and now they're yelling at me and I knew it was bad, now I'm internally like, they're right, I'm horrible. But I have to snap because why? The kids are still playing. And I got to make another call or another non-call. I got to make another decision. But I can't make that decision if I'm still emotional about this decision, because now I'm going to make the wrong decision. Because emotional decisions don't win. Process, routine, rational decisions do. So I tell the guys playing golf, don't make an emotional golf shot. The difference between the elite pros and these Division I guys, they can all hit the same shots, because I've played with all of them. They can all hit the same shots. The difference is the pros don't give away shots every round. These college guys, they'll give away 3 or 4 a round. Well, over 3 or 4 rounds, that's 12 shots that you gave up because you were emotional. How many days have we given up? It's like this. If I was to give everybody in this room $1,440, if I gave you that much money, every one of you right now, $1,440. If I took 10 from you, 10 of those dollars, would you be so mad that you would throw the other $1,430 in the trash and light it on fire? No, that's stupid. But that's how many minutes you and I have in a day, and just because 10 of them suck doesn't mean we have to throw the others away. Just because the first 10 minutes somebody tried to ruin your day doesn't mean we should throw away the other 1,430, but we do that. Oh, the whole day's going to be bad. Listen, I wake up and I say, great things are going to happen for me. I'm going to have favor with God and man. I'm going to make stuff happen today that no matter what comes at me, no obstacle's too big. I'm going to go at it, and I tell myself these things because I know I'm going to face something, and I'm going to have some mental toughness and some grit and face it. And not complain about it, and not be a victim about it. Because natural tendencies is to go be a victim. But God created us to be victors. So, Deep breath on a focal point, deep breath looking at the green dot on her bag. That was one of the players I worked with. Now I give them these, but I also tell them, so several of my golf shoes, I put green laces in them. And the reason I put green laces is to remind myself to go green, because when something doesn't go your way, where does your head go? It goes down. So then I see green and I say, oh, get back up. So it's all physical triggers. If they don't want to put green laces, I have them put a little green dot. Don't hit that ball until you're green, because otherwise you're making an emotional decision. So that's what they do. Create your own routine. You see that on the next page. So now you have a good thought of what that is. What will your physical action to release your red and yellow lights be? It might be different. It's going to be different per situation that you face in your life. So with your spouse, kids, job, performance, whatever it is for you, this is in your workbook for you to go and do as well. Where are we at? 2-step refocus during performance. I call this our final TIFF. So I'll say, take that breath, release it. Now, before you're going to perform, have a final TIFF, which is a thought, image, and a feel. What's my final breath and then my final thought before I go up? Whatever it is. Before I hit the golf shot, what's my thought? So for me, when I'm putting, I'll give you an example when I'm putting. Sometimes I start to freak out. And I'm like, oh man, don't miss this, don't miss this, don't miss this. Well, how am I going to make a putt when I'm thinking, don't miss this, don't miss this, don't miss this? So now I tell myself, and I literally say it under my breath, but out loud, it's money. And then I take the shot, because I'm getting my mind off of all that other junk, and I tell myself, it's money. That's my last thought. I've got my image. What made Tiger Woods so great is he said he literally would take a picture. His father, when he was teaching him how to putt at 3, it was hard to explain to him targets and stuff. So he said, look, take a picture, take another picture. Tiger was always putting to the picture. What made Tiger Woods so much more elite than everyone else is his mental game. He could tell you exactly where he was aiming. Most of us are living life and we don't fully know where we're aiming. And if you aim at nothing, you're going to hit. It's just the way it works. If we don't have an aim and a goal. So I tell everyone, get a final TIFF, thought, image, and feel. So when I'm practicing, I got a feel for it. People that tell me all the time, oh, I don't know how to putt, I don't have a good feel for it. I'll have them stick their hand out, and I'll toss them a golf ball. And I'll say, hey, so if we were this far, I'd say, hey, toss the golf ball to me. Most people can probably get it right to my hand. I said, you don't have a feel problem, you have a confidence problem. You know how to get the ball over there, because you just showed me that you know how to do that. You don't even have to be that athletic to know how to do that for the most part. Most people learn how to do it. Now, my 2 sons can do it real well. My daughter, her coordination's not all the way there yet. She's really beautiful and a little pretty princess, but we have her throw, and it's something right now. But she's getting better at it. But if they're on a golf course, they have some sort of feel. Right? So they know how to do that. So I'm like, you don't have a feel problem, you have a confidence problem. So what's your final TIFF? What's your final thought, image, and feel? If your final thought is, don't hit it here, that's a horrible thought to have. If you're going to go present, if I'm going to present today, and my final thought is, Steve, don't suck today, don't do a horrible job, don't stutter over yourself, don't do this, how can I perform well? So my final thought is, you've got this, you're good enough, you can do this, right? Something like that. What I usually tell myself before I come up, I'll clap my hands and say, bring the juice, Steve. Because if you're juiceful, you're useful. And if you're juiceless, you're, hey, we got it. Okay. Let's go to skill number 4. This one's a shorter one. Because that's the next page, right? Yep. I didn't miss a blank for you. Oh, I did. So number 1 was take a final breath. And then final TIFF, thought, image, and feel. Oh. Elliot got me. You're the man. Making me look good. Okay, juiceful visualization. You see here I put one of the most powerful focus training exercises you're not doing. There's really 2 different ways that I do this with breathing. Is I do a 6-2-8 breath or a 5x5x5 box meditation. Some of us may be familiar with some of this and some of us aren't. 6-2-8 is basically, and we're going to do one together in a minute, but it's breathing in for 6, holding your breath for 2 seconds, and then breathing out for 8. 5x5x5 is in for 5, hold for 5, out for 5, nothing for 5. When I did a concealed carry handgun class years ago, he taught us a 4x4 one. He was saying, hey, to lower your heart rate, he was a professional shooter and competitive shooter. He was saying to lower your heart rate, it's a breath work. Why? God gave us breath because it cleanses us. That's the point. We have God's breath inside of us. It's cleansing. The breath is cleansing, but we don't use it enough. We don't use our breath enough. And so what I do with this is to teach us to be present moment focused. Because if you've never done a visualization or a meditation type thing, your mind wanders and then you got to bring it back. And then your mind wanders and you got to bring it back. And learning how to stay focused, right? Because that's the key to being an elite, is those who can focus and unfocus the best. That's who wins at whatever it is. So present moment focus, I put here, what's the next 200 feet for you? What that is if you have a car and it's at night and they have their headlights on, you can see about 200 feet in front of you. That's what's important. What's my next 200 feet? Not what's my next 10 miles, what's my next 200 feet? What's right in front of me that I need to accomplish? How do I stay focused on that? So those are the meditations. And we'll do one here in just a little bit. But there's 3 types of mental reps. So this is just a way to get some mental reps in as well. There's 3 types. There's physical reps. So if I'm a pitcher, I can physically get the ball, throw a bullpen session or whatever and get the reps in throwing a baseball. There's mental reps. I call these shadow reps. The athletes that I work with, I have them do pitching without the ball in their hand. Hit a golf ball without hitting the golf ball. Swing the club without swinging the club. The mind doesn't know the difference. I believe everything happens twice, first in our mind, then in reality. And the interesting thing is our mind doesn't know the difference between what we physically did and what we mentally did. They did a study of a basketball team. There was 15 guys, and they had them all do different thing with free throws to see if there was any increase in their free throw percentage at the end of the year. So 5 guys, they made them shoot 10 free throws after practice. They had to, once practice was over, they couldn't leave until they made 10 free throws in a row, and they made them do it every day. The next 5, they had them make 10 free throws just visually, mentally, do mental reps. Before you leave, you got to see yourself doing what you need to do and making 10 free throws, do mental reps. Then they had the other 5 do nothing. So they went throughout the season as they did this study, and what they found was the 5 guys who actually physically had a ball in their hand and shot free throws, those 5, their free throw percentage at the end of the year went up 25%. So they got a 25% increase by putting in the extra work. The group that did nothing had a 0% increase, but they didn't decrease. They didn't get any better or get any worse. They just kind of stayed the same. What was interesting, though, is the 5 that did the mental reps, that never shot the actual ball extra, but visually saw themselves do it, they had a 24% increase. And you could say, well, there's still 1% that they didn't get, but I'm like, they still got 24% better. Why? Because the mind doesn't know. Steve Nash, who's the greatest free throw shooter of all time, said before he would go up and shoot, he would take, and if you ever go watch his old footage, he would literally visualize himself making 2 free throws before the ref would give him the first one. Because statistically, if you get fouled and you're going to shoot 2 free throws, the make percentage on the second free throw versus the first is much higher. Why? Because they have instant feedback off the first one. But when they're shooting the first one, they haven't shot one for a while. So what Steve Nash would do is visually shoot them before the ref gave him the ball, which was what made him so great, because he was doing mental reps. So whatever you do, you can do mental reps. I can do mental reps with presenting and preaching. I used to tell them when I preach to the walls, I'll do mental reps. I'll pretend the audience is there. I'll see it, especially if you know where you're going to be. Like for here, I did a mental rep because I had been in this auditorium before with the table set up like this. I kind of knew how it looked, so I can see myself and go through all the feelings, all the emotions, all of the stuff. And that's how I present, and that's how I practice to preach, is I feel it first and do it so that I kind of know, here's when I want to say this, here's when I want to do that. Whatever it is, we can get mental reps. You probably have done this without being intentional about it. And if you're like me, have you ever had to go have a tough conversation and you've played the whole conversation out in your mind before you get there? And you especially if you're mad and you know what they're going to say, but what sucks is when you get there and they don't respond the way you thought they were going to. And then you come out of the meeting, you're like, that was way better than I thought it was going to be, because you were ready to and then they were like, I'm so sorry. You're like, what? I wanted you to say this so that I could say. We do those mental reps without intentionality. We need to be intentional about our mental reps. So there's physical, mental, and then the third one is no reps. We could just not get better. Reasons to do shadow work and get mental reps. One is we get to practice our body language. It lets us practice our body language, what it wants to be when we're confident. Remember all that, acting that way. Number 2, it gets us to practice our tempo or our pace. For me, it lets me practice my tempo and my pace of delivering the sermon or the speech, the keynote. Number 3, mental imagery skills. I put imagery of skills, but yeah, it's a mental imagery of the skills that you're going to execute. So it's pitching, hitting a golf ball, shooting a basketball, having a meeting, delivering it, whatever you want to do. 4, it helps you practice your breath as a part of your pre-play routine and your process. And then number 5, on mental reps, it lets you practice your red and yellow light routine. So I tell everybody, go practice your routine. Before you're in the moment, practice that routine. So that when you're in the moment, you're not thinking about the routine, you're just doing the routine. Got to practice it ahead of time. Teams that I've worked with, I tell them, hey, practice your national anthem too. Leading up to the game, I want you to practice everything. How you're coming out, how you're going to stand, do the national anthem. So that when you get there, it's not the first time you've been there. You've already been there mentally, so it alleviates some of those nerves and some of that stuff. So then this is for you to answer, when can you get mental reps? Contextualize that to your own life and whatever it is that you do, that you perform at. How can you get mental reps? And then what can you get mental imagery reps of, and when to help your performance and to build more confidence. So the way that I do mental imagery is it's called ball mental imagery. The B stands for breathe. So first I have everybody breathe, which is the 6-2-8 or the 5x5x5x5. The A is affirmations. So you want to say something that's related to whatever you're going to be going with or against or competing at. L, the first L is look back. I have people look back at their previous best performance. And then the other L is to look ahead. Look ahead to your next performance and see yourself executing as well as you want to, right? See yourself in that arena, in that place, in that meeting, in that situation. See yourself there and see yourself, if you're giving a speech, see yourself executing well and having big BFS, body language, focus, self-talk, having all of that. See yourself do it. So I call it ball mental imagery. I gave you some lines here that you can maybe write 3. I usually try to stick with just 3 affirmation statements when I do one of these. And so I put some examples there. And what you do is when you're doing affirmations, we will practice when I'll do one together just so everybody can kind of feel it. And then we'll take a break. We'll do a mental imagery and then we'll take a break and then we'll come for the last part of the session. And we'll say this. What we'll do is I'll say, okay, here, I'm going to have you focus. And I'll have you go from the tip of your nose. I'll have you make a triangle here. Tip of your nose to the corners of your mouth. And I'll tell you to imagine numbers in there. A scoreboard or whatever, but see numbers. And I'll say, now breathe in for 6, and I want you to see 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll say, hold for 2, and then you're going to see 2, 1. Out for 8, 8. I want you to see the numbers. Your mind will wander, but it's a focus exercise to get back. So then what we'll do is we'll do that twice through, and then I'll do affirmations, and I will say, I control what I can control, and I will have you repeat that while we're staying present moment. I control what I can control. Again, it's an affirmation. I'm speaking that. I control what I can control. I'm going to let go of things I can't, right? Second one we'll say, this is just for our example today. You're going to have to contextualize it for yourself and what would speak most to you. But I just want to give us a practice so that you're not, again, if you see, nothing's weird about this. We're not, we're just breathing. We're just breathing. People get what is it? We're just breathing and we're seeing ourselves execute. We're seeing ourselves do it. So I trust my routine and compete in the moment. That'll be the second one. And then the third one is I always carry myself with big body language and great focus. Then what I'm going to do is while you're focused, I'm going to say, now I want you to go look at your previous best performance, all of the best things you've done or whatever, and see yourself executing that. So then I'm going to tell you, see that in your mind, feel it, experience it. What was the room like? Where were you at? See all of that because our mind is powerful and you'll see those performances. Then I'm going to say, now look ahead to whatever your next thing is, whatever it might be. See yourself engaged, focused, whatever that may be, okay? So that's ball mental imagery. So let's practice. So if you just kind of sit up tall, get yourself comfortable, however you need to get comfortable. And we'll do one real quick, then we'll take a break, and then we'll finish this off with the next 2 pieces. So I want you to close your eyes for me. You just get comfortable, however you want to sit. Just be comfortable. But close your eyes, and I want you to take your focus from the tip of your nose to the corners of your mouth, kind of make a triangle there. And I want you to begin to see a scoreboard or some sort of numbers. in there. So we're going to do, when I say go, we're going to breathe in through our nose for 6. And as we do, I want you to see those numbers: 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I say hold, and I want you to see 2, 1. And then when I say out, you're going to see 8, 7. But I want you to see those numbers in that. Your brain may wander, but then bring it back. So if you're ready, let's go. Breathe in for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 2. Now out. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do it again. In for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 2, 1. Out. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So now as you're focused on that, I'm going to say these things. I want you to repeat them after me, but I want you to say them out loud with conviction. I control what I can control. I control what I can control. I control what I can control. I trust my routine and compete in the moment. I trust my routine and compete in the moment. I trust my routine and compete in the moment. I always carry myself with big body language and great focus. I always carry myself with big body language and great focus. I always carry myself with big body language and great focus. I am a child of God. I am a child of God. I am a child of God. So now, staying with your eyes closed, staying focused, I want you to look back at whatever your previous performance was, and whatever it is for you, when you executed well within your marriage or with your kids or in your job, or contextualize it for you, whatever it is, I want you to look back and I want you to see yourself, see how great it was to perform well, to win, to do this. Maybe see yourself that you've been making your bed. See those things, feel it, experience it. What did the room look like? What the entire experience, what were faces in that moment? See yourself executing what you've done. See yourself at your best moments. When I was at my best on the golf course, when I was at my best at my job, when I was at my best with my family, moments with your kids, moments with your spouses, moments in church, whatever it is, look back and see those things and experience them, feel them. Work to have all the feelings. What did it feel like? What did it look like? What did it smell like? Let your senses experience that as if it were happening right now. And just look back and see it. See those successes. See the good things. See the stuff that God has done for you. See those moments. Feel it. Experience the whole thing. So now I want you to transition to looking ahead. Whatever your next thing is, whatever the next thing facing you is, maybe you have a big obstacle coming up. See that, but see yourself carrying yourself with big body language, focus, and self-talk. See yourself only worried about controlling what you can control. See yourself responding different than maybe you have before. See yourself doing these things that you're even picking up now from just this workshop. See yourself executing on those things. Feel that, experience how good it's going to be when you execute well. So to come out of this, what we're going to do one more time, we're going to get our focus back from our nose to the tip, from the tip of our nose to our mouth. Get that triangle, see the number. We're going to breathe in for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 2, 1. Let it out. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time in 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 2, 1. Out. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when you're ready, just open your eyes, come back. That's all visualization is. Wasn't anything weird. It's literally just saying things over yourself, contextualize it to you. If you want to put scripture on it for those affirmations, put scripture on it. That's why I added the I'm a child of God. The other ones are what I do with athletes, but it's for me too. When I do it, I'm like, I control what I can control. I control what I can control. I let go of what I can't, right? Things that, this is who I need to be and this is who I want to be. then see yourself do it. So does everyone kind of get the concept of that? I wanted you to just have a quick practice one, 5-10 minutes. Add it. I have it on my daily habit tracking app that I'm going to do a visualization at least 5 times a week so that I learn how to present moment focus to be where my feet are. Anyway, that's the end of that piece. We'll jump into the last 2, skill number 5 and then the culture one. 5 minutes and then we'll be back in here. Thank you all.